What's up, everybody? I am so excited to talk about competitive offers. Man, this market is creating this weird, crazy, I don't know, marginalized buyer's market where it's just super competitive. Everybody's losing. Occasionally, you do have a winner sometimes. I guess that's a little oxymoron. Occasionally, sometimes. Anyway, competitive offers. This is a highly subjective topic. I'm going to go over about 6 different ways that I like to try to make a competitive offer, and then I'll offer my final thoughts at the very end. Woo! I don't know if that did that alleviate any. No, whatever. I'm not going to say that. Okay. So here's a little synopsis of how to get the job done. Okay. You guys have seen this. Those of you that are writing contracts and either winning or losing, or those of you that have listed properties and you've seen the shenanigans that other people write on their contracts, you're seeing lots of these types of things. And as we kind of go through them, I'll probably have a couple more that I think might fit that bill. In fact, let's add one right now before I forget. What was that? Oh, leaseback options. Okay, so let's talk about how to get the job done. So big earnest money. Of course, we all know that the earnest money actually doesn't even mean anything until it actually goes hard. So sometimes when we write that big earnest money in there, if you don't have it going hard for, let's say, 3 weeks, then it's not something that conveys overall intentions to purchase the property. When it does go hard, that really changes the motive of the buyer because then they get really committed. One of the latest ones that my mom saw that she had lost an offer to, so the offer that won had $15,000 of earnest money that went hard upon acceptance. So there's a little bit of really going big and really getting the job done because upon acceptance, that's a risky gamble unless you know for sure that's the home you want or that your clients want. Sorry. So there are ways to make it non-refundable at certain times during the contract. Of course, you've seen due diligence, the financing and appraisal deadline as well. There is that box for the financing and appraisal deadline that actually says, well, maybe we'll give you half, maybe we'll give you the full amount. There's things like that you can write in there. So first thing to make it more attractive, big earnest money, because that is at the top of the page of page 1. So it's an easy one to make sure that everybody sees and is very just apparent in the contract. All right, next is big down payment. I love to have a big down payment in there. There are a lot of people that try to teach to fluff that. I wouldn't necessarily try to fluff it real big because you can get caught with your pants down if you do that. Sorry, I don't know. That's kind of a dirty thing. Sorry. You can get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Is that also dirty? Yeah. I'm doing bad with these sayings. Sorry about that. So you could fluff up your down payment, but let's say you fluffed up your down payment or your buyer's down payment by $100,000, when in reality they don't have that kind of money. And then when the appraisal comes back, you guys are like, hey, we need a $40,000 price reduction. And the sellers are like, hey, you said you had $100,000 to bring to this deal. What happened to that money? And you're like, oh, we never had any of it to begin with. Well, that's going to be a problem. We are seeing ethics complaints that are being filed against realtors that are fluffing up those numbers. If they knowingly do it, because it is a misrepresentation. It might not be fraudulent, but it could be a misrepresentation of your client, which is also bad. And you could also get fined for that. Okay. So big down payment. I love that one. You know, if your clients do have the cash, that's a great way to show that they're very committed and that they have extra capital in case the appraisal comes in crappy. All right, next one is tight deadlines. That is one of my that's one of my favorites to do as well, because it doesn't really change the contract much, you know, unless you have all the other things that I've already mentioned in there. But if you have tight deadlines, you can essentially protect your client's earnest money and get the job done quickly enough to protect that earnest money, and then ride it out till the end, before you're going to close. People love tighter deadlines. All right, escalation clause. You guys have seen those. Start at XY price, go up to XYZ price. You're starting at 300, going up to 350, beating it by 1,000 or whatever. We have a copy of an escalation clause if you want one. Oh, excuse me. So you guys have seen those. That does make it more attractive. That one's not quite as attractive now, as there are more people writing appraisal clauses, which are more attractive. That's like throwing cash on the fire at this point. So appraisal clauses are in addition to maybe an escalation clause, but you may say, hey, we'll throw in an extra 15 grand on top of whatever the appraisal comes back to. Just be cautioned that if you don't say in your addendum 15,000 over appraisal price up to determined purchase price, you could get yourself in hot water if you leave out the at determined purchase price, because I have seen contracts come back that had an appraisal clause with 15 grand extra money over any appraisal, and so that may lock you into paying more than you thought you were. So just be cautious there. All right, and then I like throwing this one in here. This is the thinking outside the box clause. We've kind of seen this. I don't know if you guys have seen this on your addendums or contracts yet, but in-house, one of our realtors actually wrote in the addendum they were going to do a scenic flight like over Salt Lake City or something like that. I really love to highlight that. That is an extra skill and an extra talent and an extra thing that you bring to the table. Why not use that? Like if you have connections and networks that are outside of the real estate realm, you're free to write those into any contract you'd like. And that may give you the leg up. And in this case, it did give him the leg up. And so I really want to just say kudos to him. Congrats on that. Way to get the contract locked up and way to think outside the box. So feel free, use your imagination and try to get those contracts locked up. All right, and then finally, the leaseback options. We are seeing a lot of leasebacks because people need the extra time to get out of their house or find the next house or utilize the funds and balance their debt or whatever, and then they lock up their next loan. There is a ton of stuff going on like that. So one of the easiest ways to make a more attractive offer is an up to 60 days rent back or lease back with no rent. That's a pretty big one. If you're in an FHA contract or a VA contract, your buyers need to be living there within 60 days. So if you guys did a 55-day, that might be a really attractive way to do that. I love the lease back options. I think that's creating an area that helps people transition through this crazy time. All right, lastly, the very final one that I have gotten a lot of success from is not even anything that's in the contract. Best way that I've gotten the job done is create a really strong relationship with that seller's agent and just really culture a nature that how to get the job done and that you're the best contract to pick because you can get the clients to close, right? They will have more faith in you to get the job done if you can convey that to that seller's agent. Case in point, I had clients that I was showing in West Haven. There was 4 active townhomes in all of Davis County or whatever, or all of Weber County. So it was crazy competitive. When I had found out from the listing agent, there was 45 offers on 4 townhomes. My clients were FHA. We had a very tiny escalation clause and the tiniest appraisal clause. I mean, like $1,500 in appraisal clause or $3,000, something like that. Really small. The agent told me flat out he only picked our offer because we had a good working relationship and he knew that we could get the job done. So just take that with a grain of salt. That's not going to work on every file or on every deal, but that is a great way to just smooth out that transaction and get your clients in there when maybe they're not the best offer, but you can get stuff locked up based on those relationships. All right. Well, that's been a video about competitive offers. Love you guys. I know this market's crazy hard. If you're feeling like you're struggling right now, text me, call me, reach out anytime. We're experiencing the same kind of volatility and competitive nature. So bring your ideas. Maybe we can find something that fits for everybody. All right. We'll see ya.